I'm to impersonate P. Adams Sitney tonight. P. Adams teaches at Princeton, was unable to come up for this occasion, wanted to have something to say and has a lot to say, since I found it especially interesting because P. Adams was the very first person I ever heard talk about Blanchot a long, long time ago. And he was going on and on about Blanchot. In fact, he wrote his dissertation at Yale on the, to me, still unlikely seeming couple of Maurice Blanchot and Charles Olson. I actually read some of that dissertation as long ago as, I think, 1980. So he has pondered Blanchot a long time, and in this piece he tells a little bit of how that came. It's curiously like the beginning of George's piece, a speech of a young man in learning to read, Pierre the same, and he will be this way. This has a lot of Latin in here, which I will pronounce in the church Latin mode, since that's what P. Adams would like. So you Latinists will have to make an effort to debase your Latinity a little bit. A few untranslated Latin phrases stand out in Blanchot's criticism and fiction as indices of numinous intensity. They are, as far as I can recall, all from St. Jerome's translation of the Bible, the Venerable Vulgate. Fiat lux, lacere veni foras, nescio vos. All three ventriloquize Jerome's God in different modes. When he says, Fiat lux, let there be light, Yahweh sets the creation in motion. But Blanchot points out, not before the anonymous Genesis narrator steps in ahead of God, with 3 lines setting the scene of nothing before telling us something like, in the beginning God said. But Blanchot gives us a more startling theology of reading itself when he quotes Jesus calling Lazarus back to life. Lacere veni foras, Lazarus, come forth. Taking that as the paradigm of every act of reading. In John's Gospel, that sealed the fate of the Son of God in human form. So reading seals ours, according to the most astounding reader of the second half of the 20th century. Nescio vos, I do not know ye, cries the dying liminal, I do not know you, cries the dying liminal Judith of Au moment voulu, when the time comes, in Lydia Davis's translation. The words are those of the parabolic bridegroom, an allegory of the resurrected Jesus in Matthew's Gospel. One story these Latin tags might tell us, one of many, is that the luminous creation of the text has already begun in the murmuring of language, has already come into being, and has already died. And I am called upon, out of holy friendship, out of loyalty, to bring that text back to life no matter what the cost, if only to hear the text denounce me for it, slamming the door in my face. Like the foolish virgins of the parable, the reader always arrives too early, wastes its resources, and wakes up too late to enter into the plenitude of meaning, of understanding. Blanchot even amends the Vulgate to his own ends when he warns us, noli me legere, do not read me, echoing Jesus' strict noli me tangere, hands off, to the woman at the tomb, eager to embrace him, fresh from the harrowing of hell. Tangere, touch, legere, read. The opposite of Augustine, who, hearing a child's sing-song, tolle lege, pick up and read, picked up the book, read, and was forever changed. And so were we. Yet again, we have been changed from the need to disobey Blanchot's injunction. Trying once upon a time to read at the same moment Blanchot's great work on the novel Le Livre à Venir, the book to come, and his own first novel, revised, Thomas l'Obscur, I first encountered the seduction and rejection oscillating so rapidly at the core of his writing that I began to doubt my genuinely dubious knowledge of French, and wondered if the fascinating mystery emanating from his pages was merely the reflection of my own linguistic ineptitude. Unable to turn away, though, and pained by the lack of any translation in English of any book of Blanchot, I persuaded Stan Lewis of David Lewis Press to venture on publishing the novel. And I talked the classicist Robert Lamberton into translating it. In his skillful hands, the book gave up none of its mystery. That's Thomas the Obscure, which was, I think, the first book ever of Blanchot in English. Soon after that, Lydia Davis and Paul Auster joined forces with George Quasher to bring out her translation of Arrêt de Mort, Death Sentence. Since then, Blanchot has been rendered into English by a series of splendid translators: Anne Smock, Pierre Joris, Jeff Ford, John Gregg, Elizabeth Rottenberg, Alan Stokel, and Lisette Nelson. They have been heroes of the spirit. All of us who call English mother tongue owe them much, but among that stellar company, the names of Lydia Davis and Charlotte Mandel shine especially bright for the many, many hours they have devoted to preserving the sacred darkness of Blanchot's light.